Hello everyone, my name is Zach. I'm the team lead for the FALL18BAJA SAE project, and we'll be presenting the design progress for our 2019 competition vehicle codenamed Renegade. A little bit of background: BAJA SAE is an intercollegiate design series hosted by the Society of Automotive Engineers yearly. The annual competition hosts 100 teams from across the world compete in a series of static and dynamic events. And then the event ultimately culminates in the 4-hour, 100-car wheel-to-wheel endurance event. A couple more details. The static events consist of a cost report, a sales presentation, and a design review presentation. And the dynamic events consist of the acceleration event, the suspension traction event, the hill climb, and the maneuverability event, which are all designed to measure the performance of your vehicle. Project goal for the upcoming 2019 competition year is, for our team, is to place among the top 10 of the 100 teams in the upcoming competition. We'll be competing at the BAJA SAE West competition hosted in May at Gorman, California. Going to the project requirements, for the 2019 competition vehicle, we intend to reduce our vehicle weight, the curb weight of the vehicle with all fluids from 413 pounds to 380 pounds. We also intend to reduce the vertical center of gravity of the vehicle by 8 inches in order to improve dynamic performance. Last year's vehicle had issues with its high vertical center of gravity, which would cause rollovers, which definitely affected the vehicle's performance in competition. We also intend to verify all of our components with physical testing against quantitative defined requirements. And of course, we need to define and document all testing procedures so we can present those test results at the static design review and sales presentation. This is the project timeline. It breaks down the first subsystem dates and deadlines for all of our deliverables, as well as the competition deliverables for the static events, such as the cost report, design report, and sales report. We've also broken down our timeline into our 6 major milestones. The first milestone was the completion of the chassis design. This design completion deadline required the necessary integration of suspension and powertrain packaging, putting us well within our desired schedule. And we intend to have our chassis manufactured by fall. Going down into the first subsystem goals and objectives, major goal for the chassis sub-team was to reduce the manufacturer's weight of the chassis. This is primarily where the weight budget of the vehicle is going to come out of. Last year's chassis was much heavier than we would have liked, and a lot of that was due to unforeseen requirements by the rules that were not integrated properly into the design. However, in order to decrease the weight, we also ended up decreasing the overall torsional rigidity of the vehicle, which is the spring rate of the chassis. But the team was comfortable with this shift as the increased torsional rigidity in last year's vehicle did not provide any significant improvements in dynamic performance.
Hello everybody, my name is Rick. I'll be presenting for the powertrain portion of our presentation. So major things that we modified to our setup as a whole is we did lower the powertrain packaging to a lower center of gravity. With that, our gearbox design that last year we designed our first gearbox, and this year we're hoping to improve on that. With that, we decreased the center to center of the gearbox by 1/2 inch, and overall improvements through this new design got us to lower about roughly 10 pounds. This gear ratio is now going from a 6:1 to a 7:1, which would allow for now from 320 foot-pounds to 370 foot-pounds. And so along with the whole gearbox and powertrain setup, we are doing new adjustments to the CVT. We'll be tuning that as well. We're just doing more analysis on that as well.
Hi, I'm Ryan. I'm presenting for the human interface team. The main goal for this year is to reduce system weight by 20% and to improve driver ergonomics. To address our weight goals, we're switching to an inboard brake system in the rear here. Since we have a lock differential, instead of having two different brake calipers for the two rear wheels, which is for one brake rotor and caliper, we're going with a lighter pedal box design. And to address ergonomics, we increased our seat lay back from 5 degrees to 15 degrees. This is really beneficial for the driver in competition because sitting at a 5-degree angle for 4 hours it's not optimal. And with the pedal box face, we've gone with an adjustable face that's also a bit closer to the driver, so they wouldn't have the tippy toe for like the endurance meant. And with our front suspension and steering system, the goal of any suspension system is to maximize tire contact with the ground while the car's in motion. Based off of testing earlier this year, we concluded that a compression droop ratio of 5 to 7 is more beneficial than what we had last year, which was 8 inches of compression and 4 inches of droop. To accommodate that, we're going to be switching over to rollover shocks. These allow for more independent adjustability between rebound compression and droop compression, or droop damping, sorry. And with our steering system, we're repackaging everything to achieve a 7.5-foot turn radius instead of 9 feet. And along with all these changes, we're aiming to package everything in the car while still maintaining the beneficial suspension kinematics that we achieved last year, such as having scrub radius of -1 inches, KPI of 12 degrees. All these things play into steering effort and just predictability while the car goes through bumps. And lastly, in packaging the entire system, we're hoping to keep our weight at a maximum of 70 pounds, which is what we had last year, using air shocks instead of pullovers.
Hello as well, for rear suspension, we made a lot of modifications. Our last design for Marauder had 3-link suspension as opposed to a new 5-link suspension. The shift from the 3-link suspension to the 5-link suspension was due to causation in the suspension geometry that led to binding of the axles. So with this, we went, instead of the shifts of these lateral links, the 3-link had just a trailer arm. And with these new links, it also allowed for a significant weight reduction for the rear suspension as a whole. It's going to be roughly a 20% decrease in that. So with there, we just adjusted that. Like Ryan mentioned, we also wanted to shift from coilovers now, rather than the supposed air shocks that we ran. And from there, we now redesigned our uprights. The current uprights that we have allow for just the trailing arm with the upper and lower lateral links over here. But now with the new uprights that we're doing attachments to allow the shocks being placed now at the upright rather than being placed elsewhere in the car. This is because we're going from a shift from into inboard braking, which now mounts calipers closer to the engine as opposed to the suspension components.
Right. This is a breakdown of the team's budget based on the per subsystem projected spending. The overall vehicle cost is projected to be around $14,000. This is roughly on par with last year's spending. And due to funding resources like the Europe and sponsorship, as well as in-kind donations and things like our upcoming Zothunder campaign, we anticipate that we'll be able to more than reach this goal. This is the breakdown of the team. The team consists of 23 members. The majority of them are enrolled in MA 189. And as I mentioned before, the team is broken down into the 5 major subsystems, with more members focused on the teams with higher design requirements, such as the powertrain subsystem. All right. questions?